Hey everyone, Jameer from the Work From Anywhere Accelerator here, and today we are going to, I'm basically going to take you over my shoulder here, and we're going to build a funnel. So we're going to build a mortgage VA loan funnel here. So we are going to have a funnel where we use a survey to capture some information. We then trigger a pop-up to capture more information, so name, email, phone number, things like that. And then we're going to have a simple thank you page. So basically, it's going to be a 2-page funnel that we're going to build here. And I'm going to try and explain everything I'm doing as much as I can over the shoulder here. But we are probably also going to do another one of these either live, or we're just going to do another one kind of explaining through more in another industry. So definitely call out and let me know what stuff I missed that you have questions on, and when we do the next one as well, I'll try and explain even more. But I'll kind of just explain the steps as I go through. One thing we will not do in both of these is go through the domain setup. I'm going to assume you already have set up your domain or connected it to your client's domain. We are making that assumption because that's a whole separate technical process, but I want to show you the ClickFunnels editor and builder, and basically how easy it is to use when you get familiar with it. And getting familiar with it is the big thing. You should be spending a good few hours in here just building and messing around so that you have familiarity as you go. But where we're at right now is the ClickFunnels dashboard. So this is what you see exactly when you log in. This is one of my test accounts, so you can see there's just tons of traffic in here and nothing really going on. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to ClickFunnels at the top here. Then we're going to go to funnels so I can see basically my main funnel dashboard. And the reason why we're going in here is so I can click add new here and start creating a funnel. So I'm going to use the classic funnel builder because I want to use I want to build a funnel from scratch. You can go in the cookbook over here and there's tons and tons of funnels that you can start with. I want to show you from scratch how I build this from an absolute blank page. So I'm going to click create new funnel. I'm going to create a custom funnel because I want something that's completely blank. And I'm going to give it the name VA loan funnel, mortgage VA loan funnel. I'm not going to select a group type because I don't really care where it groups it. The grouping type is just these things: shared funnel, thank you pages, ungrouped. I don't really care about that. I don't need that. It'll just go wherever it goes. I just want to show you guys how to build it. So I'm going to name it this, and then we're going to click build funnel. It's going to take a second or a minute or so. It's going to build out the structure of this funnel for us. And here we go. So first, you should be familiar with this page, but I'll kind of go and explain. We are on the funnel steps page where we have all the different funnel steps. Funnel step is basically like page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4 in sequence. So we're going to have our opt-in page to start, which is great. It's exactly what we want. We want an email opt-in because we're going to capture information on this page. Then after we've selected that, we're going to create a new step afterwards. And that new step is going to be a thank you page. It's just going to be one of these opt-in thank you pages. But for now, tons and tons of options to choose from here for opt-in pages. I don't want any of these. I want to search for blank because I want this completely blank start page. So I'm going to click select template, and we are going to start from absolute scratch here. I like to build out my funnel structure before I do anything else. So we have our opt-in page. Then I'm going to click add new step because I want to have a thank you page after this. So this is going to be thank you page. I don't really care about the path. I'm going to fix this stuff later on, and I'll show you how to do it once we do the domain connection and all. So I'm going to click create funnel step because I want a thank you page. And in a second here, great. So same type of page. Basically, here's where you're going to choose, and obviously I just select what type of page this is. So this is a thank you page. So you can see there's a lot of similar styles of templates as what you saw. But now these are all oriented towards being thank you pages. Again, I don't need any of these. I just want a blank page because I'm going to build all this out from scratch. So select template. And there we go. So now we have our structure, opt-in page, thank you page. So I'm going to go back to the opt-in step because now we're going to have to start editing these pages so we have a landing page. And I know there's a lot of different terminology that we're talking about. So landing page is basically this. It's this page they're going to hit. The funnel is the collection of those pages. So these different sections and steps that we have here, each of which have a landing page associated. Landing page just being the page that they see. So what we're going to do first is we're going to edit page and we're going to go into the builder. So my VA loan that I typically tend to use is a pretty simple one. It's basically a survey on a page. That survey redirects and captures information in the process. So I am going to get rid of this whole section, this little like blank starter section that they have for me, which is this the green. The green is section, blue is row, orange is element. Element is something like text or an image. Row is basically, single column or 2-column row or whatever the case. It's basically the holder for your elements. Section is basically like your master folder. So if you look at it in the way of like a computer, this is like your folder, like your main like hard drive. This is like your organizing folders, the blue ones. And sorry, these are really small, so it's hard to nail down. This is kind of like your organizing folder. This is like your image file or your computer file. So I'm just going to delete all of this. We don't need any of that. We're going to start from absolute scratch. So first thing I like to do, again, build out structure. So I know the structure is I want to have a little header bar where I can put my logo. I want a middle section where I'm going to have my survey, and I want a footer section where I'll have all of our legal terms. So I'm just going to click add new section. I want everything to be full width, so that way it's responsive for mobile and tablet and otherwise. So I'm going to click full width. So this is going to be my header bar. I'm actually just going to clone this and just duplicate this because there's nothing applied. So I just want to have my sections structured out. So header section, middle section, clone it again. We have our footer section. Each of these is going to have different colors and stuff, so that way they're separated. And I did grab some like really random little logos and stuff that we can pop in. So that way at least we can have some stuff ready to go here. Let me just make sure I actually have downloaded the mortgage logo and stuff. Yeah, I got everything. Great. So I got all our image assets we need. So first things first, let's do the header section. So the header section, we're using a logo that is basically transparent on the background. It's kind of blue. So I probably, I might actually just grab another quick logo in the background here. Something that's like an all white logo, because I'm borrowing a logo from whoever's logo looks good, just so we have something to work with here. Okay, I mean we'll go with this one. Great. So what we're going to do, this header section here, we are going to first add new row, so we can add the image element, which is what is going to hold our logo. So click add new row. We want a 1-column row because we're just going to have an image up here. We're not going to put a phone number or anything like that. I'm going to click add new element, and I'm going to select the image element because what I want here is a logo. The logo is just an image file. So now you can see we have this section here. It has a 1-column row. It has a demo image in here. And if I click on the demo image, or if I click the settings icon, I can go ahead and swap in an image here. You can see there's a URL for it. They're just using this site called Placeholder, which automatically generates this demo image little thing. I want to click the icon to the right of it because I want to upload a new image. So I am going to upload this mortgage broker logo, which is not mine. I'll be very flat out in saying, and I'm going to delete this funnel afterwards because otherwise it'll violate their copyright. But this is the logo that I'm going to use. And so, nice and simple logo. Basically, it's going to have to stick on a white background, I think. I don't think we can get any crazy with the color or anything like that. But one thing you will notice, if I click out of this, there's a lot of space above and below this logo, right? This green section is the header section. This is a really big header section. This would be quite an issue if someone's scrolling. So what I want to do is tighten up the spacing. Now, in order to do that, I have to edit at a couple different levels. So first up, I'm going to edit the settings of the logo image itself. So this element, by just clicking on it. And what I want to do is make the image a little bit smaller. So with image width or height, I can specify how big I want it based on the original image size. So I can actually say, hey, I only want the image to be 70% of the size of the original image, or 100% of the original size of the image, or in this case, I'm probably going to choose like 20% the size of the original image. That's nice and small, not too big, not too small. That looks not too bad. And I'll just click out so that way it applies it. Then we want to edit the row. And so I'm going to go to the row settings, and here you do have to click the settings icon. You can't click anywhere else. And what I want to do is get rid of padding. So padding is just, what it adds to the top and bottom, right? So I just want to get rid of all the padding on the top and bottom for the row. And that way now you can see when I hover over the section, like there's a lot less padding here. The last thing I do want to do is just check the settings of the section, because I want to make sure it's not adding too much padding. I think this is fine. But what we are going to do is we're going to add some extra little styling to this. I'm going to add like a drop shadow just so I can tell where the top header ends. So it's very full clear. So under the advanced settings here is where you can usually get a lot of the design elements. So things like borders, drop shadows. Over in the settings over here, you can make this a sticky section. So as you scroll up and down, it'll just stick with you. I don't want that. If I had a phone number in here, I might do that, but I don't want that. I just want under advanced, I want a drop shadow. So that way I get this little thing, and now I can tell there's my header. Here's the rest of my page. Nice and simple. And I'm going to go a little bit out of sequence here, just because if you're on any regular computer, you will likely want to save at this point just so that you don't lose your page. So I'm going to click save, and what you'll notice is an error that will pop up every single time you create a new funnel. It won't happen with the funnels that we've provided you with because we've already adjusted this step. But if you're using a brand new funnel, when you click save, you will get this message saying, hey, your title and for the page and all this other stuff isn't set. We're just using the default. So we want you to change it so like people know what this page is. So the title is what shows up at the very top here in the page. So I'm just going to edit this to be VA loan. I'll just call it mortgage VA loan. Or I just call it the name of this company, right? So mortgage broker store. It's just going to be what they see when they open up a tab or they open up their browser. So I just want it to be a self-explanatory. I don't care about the description. I don't care about keywords. I don't care about the author. This page isn't meant to be shared like a website is. So I'm really only driving traffic to here through Facebook. I don't need to worry about these other things. You can go ahead and fill out, page description. So what this page is about, mortgage broker store is the best VA loan provider in the country, that type of thing. You can put the name of the author here being mortgage broker store, and then add an image. I don't ever touch any of that stuff. It's no use. I run all my traffic through Facebook. I don't share this stuff organically, so just have no need to. So I'm just going to go ahead and click save again. That way it'll actually save. You can see we've actually saved the page. Now we're going to continue editing this funnel. So middle section here is where my survey is going to go, but I do want it to be a little bit different from this top bit. So I do want to have a different background color or a different background image. I think what I'm going to do is I might try and get the color or a version of the color of this mortgage broker store's logo and try and apply it. So I'm going to click the settings on this section under background color here. And there's lots of stuff here. I'm not going to go through all of it. I mean, I can if you guys want to. Let me know for the next walkthrough. But I'm just going to go through the elements that you'll typically use. So background color here, I want to apply a background color. And I mean, I can select from here and kind of mess around and choose something really cool here. And you'll notice that it doesn't change as I do this because ClickFunnels has a weird thing. It basically makes it transparent. Which is what this slider is. It's from transparent, basically meaning it's only going to show the white background, to applying the color fully. So all you want to do is just make sure it's all the way over to the right. I actually picked out one of these little hex code things, which is the color from these mortgage broker store folks. It's this little blue here. It's a little bit too dark, so I am going to just pick a little bit of a lighter version. maybe like that. And I'm just going to click out, and that'll apply as the background. So this is now the background of this middle section. This is where the survey will go. And then we have our footer section and our header section. So let's apply the survey. We're going to click add new row. Survey is just going to be one big survey. So I only need one column. This one column here is going to encapsulate our entire survey. So much like some of the funnels you may have seen in the swipes, we're going to adjust this column to almost look more like a section within this section. So it's going to have its own background. It's going to encapsulate a headline, probably a subheadline, and then a survey, just so it kind of looks like it's its own thing as well. So first things first, again, let's create the structure. So this column, I want it to have, as I mentioned, a headline. I'm going to add another element, this little orange button below this one, because I want to add a section below, or an element below it. We're going to add a subheadline. Again, I want to add another element below this one. And I want to add a survey, which if I scroll down, it's right here under advanced forms. So I want to add a survey. And so there we go. So this is the structure. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out these sections, and then I'm going to go back to designing this row a little bit more to actually look better, because right now obviously this looks kind of garbage, right? This doesn't look that great. First things first though, let's add the headline. So the headline is going to be it's a good question. What headline do I usually use? Oh, there we go. So it's a headline based on the location. So for VA loans, I'll do something like Florida veteran housing benefits program. And then the subheadline will be, it will be get started in taking advantage of your veteran benefits. It only takes 60 seconds. Something along those lines. So that'll be our headline, our subheadline, basically pushing them to take action. And then we have our survey. I'm going to click the settings on the survey because this is the only way to access the actual survey settings. So I want to edit survey options, and this is what's going to allow me to set questions and answers. So I'm just going to, I can't actually delete this one, I don't think. So I'm going to edit this first question here. And we're going to add a few questions because usually there's a handful that we like to ask for VA loans. This is going to be focused on VA home buyers, so people looking to buy a new home. So what I want to do is first ask, are you a veteran household? And the answers they can choose from are, yes, I'm a veteran household, or no, I'm not a veteran household. Nice and simple. There's lots of stuff you can do with these surveys. You can have like advanced logic. You can change it from just being text to showing images, having different layouts. I honestly never touch any of this stuff. I use really simple surveys because at the end of the day, all I want is to use this survey to capture the information I need for them to take the next step. I can go crazy with design if I wanted to, but it doesn't necessarily add or subtract from what I'm trying to do. Therefore, I don't bother trying to put in that effort if there's no need. It really is just creating another barrier. So I'm going to click add another question here. We're basically going to add the few questions that we need. So next one's usually add your military, select your military branch. But if they just say yes or no, that's really all we need for purchase. Then we want to ask timeline. So when are you planning to request your veteran? Can't spell today. Veteran housing benefits. So within a month, in 2 to 6 months, in more than 6 months. And that's basically all we need. I mean, effectively, if they're over 6 months out from making a purchase, that's not so great of a lead. That's someone who they know to filter out. And then we'll add another question here for purchase price range. What's your purchase, or what's your price range? And estimate is fine. And I like to say that for anything mortgage, for both price range as well as credit score, because realistically, some of these folks just don't know. They kind of have a vague idea, but they need to get pre-qualified, or they need to talk to a mortgage person before they can really make that decision. So we have a few answers here. I'm going to kind of shorten it up a little bit. So under 100,000, usually these are specific things where someone won't be able to really work with this person. Under 100,000 is a very low purchase price. The mortgage would only end up being, 50,000 or 70,000, which often most mortgage brokers and even loan officers don't want to touch. 100,000 to 200,000. 200,000 to 300,000, 300,000 to 400,000, and then 400,000 or more. And part of this is there's a limit to the loan size available for a VA loan, and usually it's when the purchase price is above 400,000 to 500,000. That's kind of when they're in that range. The sweet spot for full qualification within a VA loan is kind of in this range, really more in this range, 200,000 to 400,000. But we'll leave it at that. So purchase price range. Then another question is going to be, what's your current credit score? What is your current credit score to the best of your knowledge? So again, it's kind of like give us an estimate. Is it poor, 400 to 600? And actually for VA, it's 580 usually. This is a dependent based on your mortgage, folks. And I'm sorry I'm dropping a whole bunch of mortgage knowledge here while doing this build. I wanted it to be a little bit twofold, but for the sake of, the credit score variance and what they can handle, it varies based on the mortgage person. So poor is basically what we use to be a bucket for anything they can't work with. And then the other three above, so like fair to excellent, is basically anything they can work with, just varying degrees. 580 to 660. Good is 660 to 720. And excellent is 720 and up. Actually, I'll make this 580 and below, so it kind of matches. We'll go back, and then we have one last question here, which is, are you already working with a realtor? Yes, no. And so there's more complex versions of this survey that we can definitely do. I don't want to get that complex right now. We want to just go through building a funnel so you have a really good idea of what this looks like. Now, one of the things that's important with a survey is this information has nowhere to be captured until you actually capture a name, or at least an email. So what we want to do is under outcomes, the default outcome action. So what happens when someone fills in and answers all these questions, it will trigger this default outcome. We want to click into this, and what we want to do is not just redirect, because if we redirect, all that information we just captured is lost. What we want to do is have a page action for open pop-up. Open pop-up, what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to open up a pop-up in the window and then capture their actual contact info. And that way, the answers that we've asked for are now tied to that person's information. And that way we actually capture, name, email, phone number, all the answers to those questions. And now we're able to send that over to a mortgage client. So now we've applied that. Again, we're just gonna kind of click out, because that will automatically apply for us. And we're gonna click save, because now we've done a lot of work here. Every 5-10 minutes, I like to go in and save just for the sake of it. And now let's focus on designing this, because now we have the middle section done for the most part. Let's design this a little bit. So I want all white text because we're going to use a dark background with this row. So I'm going to click the settings on both this and this, and I'm going to apply some white text here. So text color is going to be white. I'm going to go here in settings, text color is going to be white. And so in here, the settings for the survey, under advanced, so you can get most of the way here in terms of the color within this editor, but you sometimes, and as I scroll through here, you'll kind of see there's no good way to go ahead and change the color of these. I don't think there ever really was. Now I'm thinking about it, like no matter what you click through here, there's no good way to go ahead and like change the color of the actual text in here. So what I'm going to do is something a little bit advanced, but I still want to show you because I think it's good to kind of understand just how advanced you can get with this, and how far you can go with this. So by far and away, this is a very optional step. You can always make a simple adjustment of making this background white and you won't need to go through this step. But what we're going to do is we're going to click Get CSS Info. And this is definitely advanced, so take this with a grain of salt, 100%. I'm going to grab our CSS selector ID because I want to apply a custom set of code styling to this particular section. So under settings, you can do a lot of things in here. You can add tracking codes and things up here, and we're going to go through that a little bit. And we have gone through that in the module 4 there. But what I want to do is go under custom CSS because I want to apply some custom styling to it all. And I'm going to paste in our little selector ID, meaning I want to apply the code I'm going to write here to this particular element. And I'm going to apply some simple code here saying color, white, important. And just click out of it. And now you can see this is now all white. And I have to do one extra step to grab the headline for this one. Give me one quick second and I will circle back when I've done that. All right, so now that's done. That was a bit of a really advanced step, so I didn't want to show you guys and get you guys confused. Now, one of the things you'll notice really quickly, if I just look at this, this is kind of really close. It's nice that it flows, but it looks like it's too close. So I'm going to click the settings of the survey here, and I'm just going to add some more margin, maybe like 50. Margin and padding basically relate to how much space in between. One is just a little bit different than the other. For the most part, I'm not going to go super deep into the details of it just because usually, you can see visually what it does, so you'll know which one is the right one for you. But next thing we want to do here is actually create a background on this row, right? Because, while this looks okay, it does look kind of weird just as a free floating thing. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to go to settings here, and I'm going to adjust the width of this entire row. So you can see if I hover over for this blue line, you can see where the box of this is. I want to make this a little bit less wide so that way we don't have this massive progress bar here. Meanwhile, all of our questions and answers are all the way over here, or questions in the middle. It looks too spread out. It looks like it's really widely spread. So I'm going to cut this down to maybe something like maybe even a little bit more, like a 50. Because on mobile, this is kind of what it's going to look like. So this is what I want it to kind of flow. The other thing is the text here. I'm going to click settings on, or actually I'm going to click into, sorry. I'm going to highlight all of it because I also just want to make it italics. That way it doesn't, I don't know, for some visually it just looks better like this. And so yeah, so that's what I want for our section here. Now I can go ahead and add a background here if I want to. So if I click settings, I could also add a dark background. So let me just click one of these colors and make it a little bit transparent and add a border to this. And this actually doesn't look too bad, so I might keep it, and I'll just do some additional little styling to make it have round edges, which we can find under advanced. Again, this is kind of where all the advanced styling is, like borders and edges and drop shadows. So I want a corner radius, meaning it's basically going to round out all the corners for me. So I want maybe 10 pixels, actually maybe a little bit more. There we go. That looks nice and round. I want to apply a little bit of a drop shadow, just so it actually like stands out on the background. Maybe we'll go full 40%. I'll leave it there. There we go. So now we have our survey, our middle section. And I mean, yes, I'm going to save quickly. This does look a little bit weird on desktop, but most of your traffic is going to come from mobile. So if I click this little mobile icon in the top here, I can actually see what this is going to look like on mobile. And as you can kind of see, like this actually doesn't look too bad on mobile. One thing that does call out is this image is way too tiny on mobile. So what I probably want to do is go back to desktop, and we are going to create a desktop version of the logo, but also have a mobile version of the logo. And you can do this if you click on a particular element. You'll notice all these icons in the bottom right. Let me like close this in here. All these icons here basically allow you to apply it so that this particular element I'm holding here, this image element, I can make it only show up on mobile, only show up on desktop, or just hide it entirely. Now what I want to do is create one that is going to be shown on desktop, one that's going to be shown on mobile. So that way I can control the size of it. Because unlike the text, if I click into the text here, you can see there is a mobile size and then a regular desktop size. I can't do that with the image because it's a totally separate element. There's no good way to do that. So what I want to do then is I want to create this and make this desktop only. And what I'm going to do is use the lovely handy feature here to just clone this element, clone this image. And I'm going to click the settings, and then I'm going to make this mobile only. So you can see when I did that, automatically shifted me over to mobile view. That way I can actually see what I'm doing. I can see this element that I just created. Otherwise, all I'd see is this, and then on the desktop view, you see this second logo that we had disappeared. That's why they shift you over, so that way you can actually go ahead and start editing this. And all we want to do, as hard as this editor is to work with when it is in mobile like this, I'm going to click settings on the image, and all I'm going to do is increase this percentage to, say, a 40 or 50. That's it. That's all I want to do, so it actually looks all right. Right? I mean, that looks much better. This is basically what they're going to see on their phone in when they're holding it up. So they'll be able to answer the survey. They'll be able to see this in full, and then they'll also be able to see the logo. So the very last element to this entire page is going to be, the last two elements. The last element we're going to see here, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to capture information. The last element on this main page is going to be the bottom row. And so the bottom footer, what I like to usually do is edit the section, add a dark background, so maybe something like a gray. I'm going to click out. I'm going to add a new row because I only want one row. I'm basically going to have a little bit of text here for the legal documents or legal links. I'm going to click add new element on it, and I'm just going to add a paragraph. And so a paragraph is just going to be the one line of text in small settings or small font size. I'm just going to click the settings edit here, change the text color to white so you can actually see it. And so all I'm going to do here is just click into it, remove all this text, and I am going to put the basic of basics in the way of a terms of service link and things like that. So I'm just going to say copyright 2019, so the year. Then we're going to have a privacy policy link, and we're going to have actually we're just going to leave it at that. We're going to make it really simple. So privacy policy is about like the minimum that you want there. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm just going to go in another browser off screen here. I'm just going to go to digitalnomad.com and grab the link to our privacy policy because I didn't prepare one for this fake brand. So let me grab the link here. So what I will do is click into the paragraph. I'm going to highlight the text I want to link and click this little link icon. And so this will allow me to replace this little hashtag by just highlighting it, deleting it, and then pasting in this privacy policy link that I copied from our site. And so there we go. So now I have a link privacy policy. I have the copyright 2019. We have our survey. We have our logo. And if I click over to mobile, everything looks good. It's nice and small. It's like, this is like not even 2 full scrolls on a mobile phone, which is perfect. It means they don't need to scroll up and down to try and get information. I'm gonna go back to desktop and I'm gonna click save. And we have one last thing to do with this page, which is now we have this survey. We need to capture information. So here we're getting answers to questions, but how do we tie this to what we'd otherwise call a lead? So a name, an email, phone number. So that's where the pop-up comes in. Over here, if you remember in the survey, we had it trigger a pop-up when someone finishes. We're gonna click this little pop-up section at the top here and go to edit settings. And so now you can see we have this pop-up that shows up. We have all the settings for the pop-up here. And all I want to do is just click on the plus button here to add a row. We're going to add a single column row. And what we're going to have here is we're going to have a headline, basically just saying, great, enter, thanks for filling out the survey type of thing, answer the questions below or enter your information below, and we'll get in touch. Very basic and simple. We're going to have a few fields of information we want to capture and a submit button. And that's about it. So we'll click add new element. We'll create the structure again here. So I'm going to add a subheadline so it doesn't look too big. I don't want like massive text there. Then we're going to click add new element again. We are going to add an input box, which is going to be where we enter in all of our information. So we're going to capture, and I'm going to duplicate this a couple times because we're going to capture a few things, but I'll do that afterwards. So we're going to have our input boxes. Then I'm going to click add new element. We are going to have our button to submit it all. So this is going to be our submit button. And that's it. So let's start editing. So I'm going to edit the headline here first. I'm going to say, enter your information to see, what do we actually have like a specific call to action. I think it's like to see if you qualify or something. Yeah, I'm just going to use that. Enter your information to see if you qualify. I'm just going to highlight this all and make this bold, just so it stands out as like a little bit of a headline. We're going to have our first info box here. I'm going to go into the settings so I can actually set this. So it says your email address here, but it's not. If I look at input type here, it's not actually set. I want to click that, and you can see I can set it as anything from a name to a zip code, to a shipping state, any variation of input I really want. I want this to be a first name because I really only need first name, email, and phone number. That's about it. So I'm going to have first name first. Placeholder text is what you see inside this box. So I'm just going to say, enter your first name. These are all going to be required because I need every single field. Otherwise, it's not what I would call a lead. And I'm just going to click back out into the pop-up and it'll apply that. I'm going to click clone because we just want to use, we want to use basically the exact same setup. I'm just going to swap out first name to email, then clone it again and swap out email to phone number. So we'll click clone, edit settings, change this from the input type of first name to email. So enter your email address. It's automatically required because you do need an email address in your form to be able to apply information to it and capture information. And then we're going to clone this one more time for phone number, settings, change to phone number, enter your phone number. Nice and simple. And then what we're going to do is click edit settings on the button. Because the first thing I want to do is actually apply some spacing here. It looks like it's way too close to the fields. So just something like that, like 30. What I also want to do is increase the size of it. So we'll go to font size and make this like a nice big button, make it like 30 pixels. We want the text color to be white. That's fine. But background color I want to change. And rather than doing it here, I could change the color here. For some elements, ClickFunnels has these default themes. So you can actually just choose a default like layout of style just by picking one of these. So what I want is actually this green button at the bottom here that looks like it is actually, when I highlight it, it looks like it's something you can click. So I'm going to click on that. You can see it's automatically applied a whole bunch of different styling to it. I'm going to go back to settings and I'm going to change the button text here. And it's just going to say, we're just going to say submit. It's going to nice and simple, just submit. And then the action we want, so if I click set action, this green button, what we want finally is to actually submit the form, the very top option. So now it's going to capture the information from the survey, capture name, email, phone number, and then finally submit this as a lead. One little thing I am going to do, because this button looks really tiny compared to everything else being so wide, I'm going to go under advanced, and one thing I can do is change the button width to just fill whatever space it has. And that way on mobile, that button, even if their finger can't reach the very middle of the form for some reason, they can still click the button with no issue. So there's our form. There's the form that's going to pop up when they actually finish doing the survey. So I'm going to click out of this and click save. And now our first page is done. And I'm going to go ahead and preview just so you can see what we did here. So here is the form. And I see this ClickFunnels badge. I'm going to show you how to take this away in a second. But here's basically our survey page. I'm going to click and answer some of these survey questions. And I believe this is the second last one. Here's the last one. Now watch what happens when I click this yes. There we go. Pops up our pop-up. We have our information here. I'm not going to fill this out right now because if I fill this out and click submit, it will just error out because we haven't created a thank you page. So it doesn't know where to send the person after they fill out this form. So that's what we're going to go to. That's what we're going to go to do right now after I show you this ClickFunnels badge. We're then going to go and create the thank you page. So if we go back to this tab here, first things first, let's get rid of that ClickFunnels badge. Under settings, under general, affiliate badge, we want that to hide. That's it. That's as simple as it is. Now we won't have that ClickFunnels badge and all of our funnels will look nice and clean. So I'm going to click exit at the top here because we've saved. This is working. This is ready to go. Now we need a thank you page. So our opt-in page is good. In a second here, you'll see the preview of it, basically exactly what we built out. Might take a second there. There we go. So now you can see, this is exactly what we built out. What I want to do now is go to the thank you page. And I'm going to click edit on this page. And again, we're just going to build out another page. This one's going to be after they've submitted their information. All I want to do on this page is say, thank you for getting in touch. Here's our phone number. Thank you for getting in touch. Someone will be in touch, but in the case you don't want to wait, here's a phone number, and I want to link to that phone number. I don't want to get crazy with design here. We don't need to. It's a simple thank you page. They've already done the hardest step, which is getting in touch. Now I just need to present them with information to take a next step. So first things first, let's remove this section. We are going to add a brand new section, which will be a full width section. And we're going to add a new row, one column. We're going to add a new element. So like I said, we're going to have something that says, thanks for submitting. So that'll be a headline. Then we'll have a second line below saying someone's going to be in touch, but if you don't want to wait, give us a call, or it's going to be a sub headline. And that's basically it. This is as simple as our headline, as our thank you page is going to be. It's going to be 2 elements with a link. We're going to do some design to it. So I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of design for this row, just so it looks a little bit better. But that's generally as complicated as you need to get on a thank you page. So let's edit this headline here. We're just going to say, thank you for getting in touch about your mortgage. We're going to edit the small headline. one of our mortgage loan officers, I'll say local mortgage loan officers. People always like the word local. One of our local mortgage loan officers will be in touch within 24 hours. If you don't want to wait, you can give us a call now. And we're just going to have a number here. Just going to make up a number. And that's it. That's everything. We're going to link this number. I'm going to show you how to link to a phone number here. So if I highlight this number, much like we did for the privacy policy, I'm going to highlight it, click the link button. And so now it's linked, but you don't just want to put like HTTP 99999. Like that's not going to work. The link, the way you structure a link for a telephone number is TEL colon, and then the number. So TEL colon 999 999 9999. And you can put dashes or you can just remove the dashes if you want. And what this will do is when they click on it, it will open up in their mobile phone and at the phone app with this number pre-populated. Now, in the case you have an issue where I think this is more of a Canadian issue than this is a US issue. If you have an issue where sometimes it wants you to put like the 1 before the number for long distance, all you got to do is at the very start of this, you have TEL colon, put +1. And what that means is for the phone, it's going to read that and say, okay, +1 is the long distance code. And then afterwards is the number. So once it recognizes that's a long distance code, it'll apply it if it needs it. Otherwise, it'll just leave it. But that's it. That's how you link a phone number. Super, super simple. So now we want to do a little bit of styling because this, I mean, again, this doesn't look the greatest. So all I'm going to do is click settings on the row. I'm going to apply a little bit. Actually, I'm not going to apply background color. I'm going to apply a border and then just make it smaller. So let's adjust the width here. Let's make this like, let's make it 75. That looks not too bad. We'll go to advanced here. We're going to add a border. We'll add a full border so we have something all around. We'll make it a little bit thicker. We'll make it 5 pixels so it's like a nice thick border. We are going to create a radius so it doesn't look all boxy. So now it looks not too bad. We're going to add a drop shadow as well, just so again it stands out from the page. And then under settings here, maybe what we'll do is add some padding because it looks like it's very close to the edges, right? It looks like it's close to the edges here, and then there's weird space here. So we'll just add, say, 40 pixels to the top, 40 pixels to the bottom. That way we have a little bit of space in top and bottom. And we're going to do the same on the left and right. Do 40 pixels in left and right. Now it's kind of more boxed in within this little box. Now it looks not too bad. So we're just going to click out. And there we go. This is our thank you page. Nice and simple. I mean, you can add image elements. You can add whatever else you want. But, I mean, this is as simple as it really needs to be. We'll click save. And again, we're going to have this same thing pop up where they want you to label the page. So here we just got to label the page. And all I'm going to say is, thanks for getting in touch. That's it. Delete everything else. Don't need it. Click save again to actually save. And one thing, like you saw on the other page, the ClickFunnels affiliate badge will show. So under general here, we're just going to turn off that badge and click save again. And now our page is good. So if I want to preview here, just so you can see what it looks like, there it is. Very basic page. It's all you need. We can take a preview on mobile here because, I mean, this is basically all you need to show, right? So we'll click exit. This funnel is now done. This funnel is now set up. It's basically ready to receive traffic. You will notice this URL is not the cleanest. I'm going to show you quickly how to adjust this. This is not necessarily a step you always have to take. You can if you want. You can leave it if you want. I would recommend doing it if you've already connected a domain just so it looks a little bit cleaner. But I'm going to click on settings here at the top. And this is where you select your domain. So I'm just going to choose one of these domains I have here. Let's say think Mortgage Finder is one I have set up. So I'm going to select Mortgage Finder as the domain, scroll all the way to the bottom, save, so that way Mortgage Finder, the domain, is now associated with this funnel. I am going to go under Publishing to change this URL here that shows. So under Publishing, I'm going to call this, I think it was, the company was called like Mortgage Store VA Loan, something like that. And I'm going to copy this because I'm going to show you why this actually needs to be applied twice. And this is something that most people miss, but I'm going to copy this to show you how to apply it and actually make sure it always shows like that. But I'll click Update Funnel Step. And now you can see here it says mortgagefinder.co/mortgage store VA loan. Like, this is a nice and clean URL. But if I go ahead, actually, let me show you like what this does. So if I'll click open here, so it actually opens, you can see it actually redirected. Now it just says mortgagefinder.co/opt-in and then a string of numbers. And that is because we did not change the URL for this individual page. So you don't always need to do the publishing one. You need to do the page one if you want to have a clean URL. I recommend doing both. So all I would do is just click the gear settings for this page, and you can see this thing called path. This is that slash whatever. So slash opt-in 341, all this garbage. All we're going to do is delete that, paste in the URL that we have here, and we're just going to click update page. And now we're going to open it again. And now it actually shows the URL. In the case it shows the string, so in case it still shows like a number string behind this, if you click edit settings, I believe this will show with it. Yeah, now it'll show with it. So what you can do is really simply just like remove one of these dashes or just make it like an all-in-one. So sometimes it'll take it and allow these URLs to be the same. Sometimes it won't allow them to be the same. If it won't allow them to be the same, make a small difference, right? So maybe it's Mortgage Store VA Loans. I put an S. That, as it looks at it, is completely unique. So now if I load this up, I'll show you the URL here. Now it's Mortgage Store VA Loans, looks completely clean. So solely dependent on just how it's set up, really. This is the main one. I would recommend making a very clean URL like this because this is the first page someone's going to see. The thank you page, I mean, it's really totally up to you. I mean, people see it, yes, but after they've filled out the form, I mean, what does it matter? They're more worried about what's the next step after this. Should I call the person? Whatever the case, they're not going to be as worried about the thank you page URL. If you want to, I recommend not touching the publishing one, just edit the page one and just make this look nice. So we'll say thank you, or yeah, thank you, VA mortgage, something like that. That way, that's what they see. It's nice and clean. And if I open this up, you'll kind of see what I mean. It just goes to mortgagefinder.co/thank you, VA mortgage. So nice and simple. The last step you would want to take here is adding your Facebook pixel to this funnel, which I'm not going to go through in this one because I mean we go through it in the other modules. But again, if you guys want me to go through that when I do the next over-the-shoulder one, I can. But that is generally the end-to-end build of a funnel. The only other step you want to take is adding your Facebook pixel. And then you just add this to Facebook and you start sending traffic. It'll start capturing leads and it's ready to rock. So I hope this helped. Let me know in the comments down below, because we're going to post this to Facebook first. Let me know in the comments down below what feedback you have, what things you want to see more of in the next over the shoulder, what things you want me to focus in more on. Maybe we'll just do a separate video specifically on that. But let me know what your thoughts are. So that way when we make the next over the shoulder, we go into more depth, more detail for exactly what you want. And then we'll move this over to the members area. So if you are watching this in the members area, we've already done this, but you can head on over to the Facebook group and of course ask questions and give us feedback and let us know what you need to see more of in order to basically just, get this process nailed down and really understand how to be familiar with ClickFunnels.